Imagine a quiet evening shattered by a single knock at the door, a sound that unravels everything you thought you knew about family, trust, and the boundaries that hold your world together. My name is Emily Harper, and this is the story of how one ordinary weekend spiraled into a storm of emotions I never saw coming. It's a tale of whispers in the dark, forbidden glances, and a heart caught in a dangerous dance between right and wrong. So, settle in, because once you hear this, you won't be able to stop listening. It all started on a crisp autumn afternoon in my cozy Seattle suburb home. The kind of day where the air smells like fallen leaves and possibility. I was elbow deep in a clutter-clearing mission. My living room a chaotic sea of cardboard boxes and forgotten treasures. The soft hum of jazz drifted from my old record player, mingling with the rustle of clothes as I sorted through my wardrobe. That's when I found it, a relic from my reckless 20s, a sleek black leather skirt, bold and daring, the kind I hadn't worn in over a decade. Holding it up, I could almost hear the laughter of my younger self, the one who danced until dawn and lived for the thrill of the moment. On a whim, I slipped it on, the leather cool against my skin. I stood before the full-length mirror, twirling slightly, a smile tugging at my lips. It was tighter than I remembered, hugging curves I'd forgotten I had. But for a fleeting second, I felt alive, untamed, like I could still turn heads. That's when the doorbell chimed, sharp and insistent, slicing through my nostalgia like a knife. I froze, my reflection staring back at me, hair mussed, cheeks flushed, dressed in a skirt that screamed anything but responsible aunt. Muttering under my breath, I tugged at the hem, suddenly self-conscious. Who could it be? I wasn't expecting anyone. I shuffled to the door, heart tapping in uneven rhythm, and peered through the peephole. There stood my nephew, Ethan Caldwell, all 24 years of him, broad-shouldered and radiating that effortless charm that made people stop and stare. He held a toolbox, his flannel shirt rolled up to reveal tanned forearms, a casual grin lighting up his face. You called about the creaky porch step?" he called through the door. His voice warm but teasing, like he knew I'd forgotten. I cringe. I had mentioned the step weeks ago, hadn't I? In my distraction, I'd completely spaced. Right, come in, I called back, forcing a laugh as I swung the door open. Ethan stepped inside, his boots thudding softly on the hardwood. And for a split second, his eyes flickered over me, head to toe, lingering just a heartbeat too long. Or maybe I imagined it. I brushed it off, gesturing toward the porch. "It's out front. I'm a mess. Just decluttering." He nodded, but there was a glint in his hazel eyes, something I couldn't quite place. "Nice outfit," he said, almost too casually, as he headed outside. My cheeks burned. Was he joking? I glanced down at the skirt, suddenly regretting my impulsive decision. Shaking my head, I retreated to the living room, determined to focus on my task. But as I folded sweaters, the air felt different, charged, like the calm before a storm. Ethan worked quickly, the rhythmic tap of his hammer echoing through the open window. I tried to ignore the way my pulse quickened every time I passed by, catching glimpses of him crouched on the porch, his movements precise and confident. He was no longer the lanky kid who used to beg me for extra cookies at family barbecues. Ethan had grown into someone who commanded attention, someone who could make a room fall silent with a single smile. And that realization unsettled me. "Hey, can you hold this board for me?" he called out. Breaking my reverie, I hesitated, then stepped outside, the cool breeze raising goosebumps on my arms. The porch was narrow, and as I knelt beside him, our shoulders brushed. His warmth was startling, his cologne, a mix of cedar and something sharper, filling the space between us. I focused on the board, my fingers trembling slightly as I held it steady. Ethan's hands moved deftly, but his gaze kept drifting, not to the task, but to me. It was subtle, a sidelong glance, but it sent a shiver down my spine. "Everything okay?" I asked, my voice tighter than I intended. He paused, his hammer hovering mid-air, and looked at me, really looked, like he was seeing something he hadn't before. "Yeah," he said softly, his tone carrying a weight I didn't understand. "Just, you look different today." I laughed, a nervous, brittle sound. "Different? It's just an old skirt." Ethan. Found it in the closet. He didn't laugh. Instead, he held my gaze, his expression unreadable. It's not just the skirt. His voice was low, almost a whisper, and it hung in the air like a secret neither of us was ready to acknowledge. I stood abruptly, brushing sawdust off my hands. I should check on something, I mumbled, retreating inside. My heart pounded as I leaned against the kitchen counter, gripping the edge for stability. What was that? Ethan was family, my sister's son. For God's sake, I was overthinking it, projecting my own unease onto an innocent moment. But as I poured myself a glass of water, my hands shook, and I couldn't shake the feeling that something had shifted. Something I couldn't undo. That night, I curled up on the couch, a blanket draped over my shoulders, trying to lose myself in a mindless TV show. The house was quiet, save for the distant hum of crickets outside. Then my phone buzzed, jolting me upright. A text from Ethan glowed on the screen. Hey, can I ask you something? My stomach twisted. It was nearly midnight. Why was he texting now? I hesitated, then typed, "Sure, what's up?" My finger hovered over the send button before I pressed it, a decision that felt like stepping off a cliff. His reply came instantly. Today felt different. You felt it too, didn't you? I stared at the words, my breath catching. This wasn't a casual check-in. This was something else, something dangerous. My mind raced, replaying the day, the glances, the tension, his cryptic comment on the porch. I typed a neutral response, just a weird day. Ethan, long week. I hit send, hoping to shut it down. But he wasn't done. Another message popped up. I can't stop thinking about you. Not like usual. It's more. The room seemed to close in, the air thick with the weight of his words. I set the phone down, my hands trembling. Ethan wasn't just crossing a line, he was obliterating it. And the worst part? A tiny, reckless part of me wondered what it would feel like to step over that line with him. The glow of my phone screen seared into my eyes. Ethan's words hanging like a storm cloud. I can't stop thinking about you. Not like usual. It's more. My Seattle home, once a sanctuary of cozy throws and warm lamplight, felt like a cage, the walls pressing in with a secret I never wanted. I tossed the phone onto the couch, its soft thud swallowed by the night's silence. Outside, a dog barked in the distance, and the wind rattled the maple tree against the window, echoing the chaos in my chest. I was Emily Harper, 42, paralegal, aunt, steady as they come, not the woman who got late-night texts from her nephew that made her heart race for all the wrong reasons. I paced the living room, the hardwood icy against my bare feet, trying to pinpoint when everything veered off course. Was it that leather skirt, tugging at memories of my bolder days? The way I'd laughed too freely when Ethan teased me on the porch? Or was it him, his quiet confidence, the way his presence sparked something electric? I shook my head, shoving the thought away. He was family, my sister Lauren's son, the kid who'd once begged for extra cookies at family barbecues. This was a glitch, a misstep, but as I sank into the armchair, the memory of his gaze, intense, searching, clawed at me. It wasn't just a look. It was a confession. Sleep was a lost cause. By 2 a.m., I was sipping chamomile tea, staring at the ceiling, when my phone buzzed again. My stomach twisted as I grabbed it, dreading another message from Ethan. Instead, it was a photo, a snapshot from last summer's family barbecue. There I was, mid-laugh, a glass of lemonade in hand, sunlight catching my hair. His caption read, "This is what I mean. You're, you." No explanation, just those words, vague yet heavy with intent. I deleted the message, my fingers trembling, but the image burned in my mind, vivid as the scent of charcoal smoke and the clink of ice in glasses. Morning brought no relief. I dragged myself to the kitchen, bleary-eyed, the aroma of fresh coffee grounding me. I was determined to reclaim normalcy, to bury Ethan's texts in a mental box labeled, mistake. But the doorbell rang, sharp and unyielding, shattering my resolve. My heart stuttered. I tightened my robe and opened the door to find Ethan standing there, his pickup truck idling in the driveway. He wore a navy jacket, hair slightly tousled, but his usual grin was gone, replaced by a taut expression that aged him, made him look haunted. "Ethan, it's barely 8, I said, my voice sharper than intended. What's this about?" He shoved his hands into his pockets, eyes searching mine. I was in the area. Needed to see you. His voice was low, earnest, and it sent a chill through me. He lived across town. There was no in the area. I stepped back, gripping the doorframe. This isn't a good time. I'm heading to work soon. He didn't move, his gaze unwavering. I didn't mean to freak you out last night. But I can't pretend nothing's changed. I felt it yesterday, and I know you did too. My breath caught. The air between us crackled, thick with words neither of us should say. Ethan, your family, whatever you're feeling, it's not real. You're confused. He stepped closer, the porch creaking under his weight. It's real to me. I've tried to ignore it. But every time I'm around you, it's like I'm seeing you for the first time. Not just my aunt, you. I flinched. His words a spark too close to dry tinder. Stop, I said, raising a hand. This isn't okay. You need to go. His shoulders slumped, but he didn't argue. As he turned to leave, he paused, pulling a small envelope from his jacket. Read this, please. It's all I'll say, I promise. He pressed it into my hand, his fingers brushing mine, warm and fleeting. Before he walked back to his truck, the engine roared to life. And he was gone, leaving me clutching the envelope like it might burn me. Inside, I sank onto the couch, the envelope trembling in my hands. My name was scrawled across it in Ethan's neat handwriting. I tore it open, heart pounding, and unfolded a single sheet of paper. I know this is wrong. I've fought it for months. But you're the only person who's ever really seen me. Not the guy everyone expects me to be. But me. I don't know what this means. But I can't keep it inside anymore. If you want me to stay away, I will. Just say the word. No signature. Just those words, raw and unguarded. I pressed the letter to my chest. A storm of emotions swirling, anger, fear, and something I refused to name. Part of me wanted to call him, to scream that he was tearing our family apart. But another part, quieter and more dangerous, wondered what it would be like to be seen the way he saw me, not as the dependable aunt, but as a woman, alive and desired. I shoved the letter into a drawer, slamming it shut. But it was too late. The seed was planted. That afternoon, I threw myself into work, hoping the hum of the law office would drown out my thoughts. But as I sorted case files, my phone vibrated. A text from Ethan. Did you read it? I ignored it, my pulse racing. Minutes later, another. I'm sorry if I upset you. Just needed you to know. I turned the phone face down. But the words lingered, a siren call I couldn't unhear. By evening, I was unraveling. I drove home under a bruised purple sky, rain pattering against the windshield, mirroring my turmoil. As I pulled into the driveway, my headlights caught a figure on the porch, Ethan, soaked to the bone, his jacket clinging to his frame. My heart lurched. I stepped out, rain stinging my face, and marched toward him. What are you doing here? I demanded, voice shaking. He looked at me, eyes raw with something I couldn't face. I couldn't stay away. Not until you tell me there's nothing here. I froze, rain soaking my hair, the world narrowing to the space between us. Ethan, this is wrong. You're my nephew. There's nothing to say. He stepped closer, droplets sliding down his face. Then why didn't you tell me to leave this morning? Why keep the letter? His words hit like a slap, stealing my breath. I opened my mouth to deny it. But the truth hung heavy. I hadn't thrown it away. I hadn't told him to disappear. And in that silence, something shifted, a line blurring that could never be redrawn. Rain stung my face as I stood on the porch. Ethan's words cutting through the storm. Then why didn't you tell me to leave this morning? Why keep the letter? The Seattle night was a blur of shadows and streetlights. The air thick with the scent of wet pavement and unspoken truths. My heart pounded, each beat a warning I couldn't ignore. Ethan stood inches away, rain-soaked, his eyes burning with a desperation that made my chest ache. I wanted to scream, to shove him back across the line he'd crossed. But my silence, my hesitation, betrayed me. I hadn't thrown out his letter. I hadn't told him to disappear. And now, that truth hung between us like a lit fuse. Ethan, I said, my voice trembling but firm. You need to leave, now. I stepped back, clutching the porch railing, the cold metal grounding me. This, whatever you think this is, it's not real. It can't be. He raked a hand through his wet hair. his expression a mix of defiance and pain. You're lying to yourself. I saw it in your eyes yesterday. You felt something. I shook my head, rain mingling with the tears I refused to acknowledge. What I feel is fear. Ethan, fear that you're tearing our family apart. You're my nephew. That's all you'll ever be. He flinched, the words hitting like a physical blow. But he didn't back down. I know it's wrong. I've told myself 1,000 times. But when I'm with you, it's like I'm alive in a way I've never been. You see me, not the screw-up everyone else does. His vulnerability pierced me, but I couldn't let it sway me. You're not a screw-up, I said softly, but you're lost. And I can't be the one to fix that. You need help, Ethan, someone to talk to. Someone who isn't me. He looked away, jaw tight, the rain masking whatever emotions flickered across his face. For a moment, I thought he'd argue, but he just nodded, a slow, defeated gesture. Okay, he whispered, I'll go. He turned, his boots splashing through puddles as he headed to his truck. The engine roared, and he was gone, swallowed by the storm. I stumbled inside, my clothes dripping, and collapsed onto the couch. The letter in the drawer seemed to pulse with a life of its own. But I didn't touch it. Instead, I buried my face in my hands. The weight of the night crashing over me. I'd done the right thing, hadn't I? But the ache in my chest, the echo of Ethan's words, told me this wasn't over, not yet. The next morning, I woke to a gray dawn. The house eerily quiet. I called in sick to work, unable to face the world. As I brewed coffee, my phone buzzed, a voicemail from my sister. Lauren, her voice was tight with worry. It's Ethan. He was in a fender bender last night after leaving your place. He's okay, just shaken. He's at Mercy General. Can you check on him? Panic surged through me, the mug slipping from my hands and shattering on the tile. I grabbed my keys and raced to the hospital. The city a blur of rain-slicked streets and honking horns. At Mercy General, I found Ethan in the a bandage on his forehead, his arm in a sling. He looked up as I approached, his hazel eyes dulled but still piercing. What happened? I asked, my voice thick with concern. He managed a weak smile, wincing as he shifted, got distracted, rear-ended someone. It's nothing serious. I pulled a chair close, my hands clasped tightly. You scared me, Ethan. Lauren's worried sick. He nodded, gaze dropping to his hands. I'm sorry, for everything. Last night, I pushed too far. I exhaled, relief mingling with exhaustion. You did, but you're here, and you're okay. That's what matters. He looked at me, his expression raw. I meant what I said. But I know it's wrong. I don't know how to stop feeling this way. His honesty disarmed me, but I held firm. You start by getting help. A counselor, someone who can help you sort this out. You're stronger than you think, Ethan, but you can't do this alone. He nodded, a flicker of resolve in his eyes. I'll try, for you, not for me, I corrected gently. For yourself. A nurse interrupted, signaling the end of visiting hours. I stood, squeezing his hand briefly. Get some rest. We'll talk soon. As I left, I felt a strange mix of hope and sorrow, like a storm had passed but left debris in its wake. Days later, I found a package on my doorstep, wrapped in brown paper with my name in Ethan's handwriting. My heart sank, but curiosity won. Inside was a small notebook, its pages filled with his thoughts, not love letters, but reflections. I'm seeing a therapist. It's hard, but it's helping. I wrote this to make sense of things. To let go. You don't have to read it. But I wanted you to know I'm trying. The words were raw, tracing his struggle to untangle admiration from something deeper. To see me as family again. Tucked in the back was a photo from that barbecue. But this time, his note read, "Thank you for being you. I'm learning what that means." I closed the notebook, tears pricking my eyes. It wasn't a grand gesture, but it was honest, a step toward healing. I texted him, "Got it. Proud of you. Let's take it one day at a time." His reply was simple, "Thanks." Weeks turned into months. Ethan kept his distance, focusing on therapy and his job at a local garage. When we saw each other at family gatherings, there was no tension, just a quiet understanding. He'd smile, tell a dumb joke, and I'd laugh, the old ease returning like a familiar song. I learned to trust the boundaries we'd set, To let go of the fear that had gripped me that rainy night. Looking back, I see how close we came to losing everything, not just Ethan and me, but the family we both cherished. It taught me the power of speaking truth, of drawing lines even when it hurts. Ethan found his way, not because I saved him, but because he chose to save himself. In me, I rediscovered my own strength. The kind that doesn't need a leather skirt to shine. Our bond survived, not as a forbidden spark, but as something real, family. Flawed and forgiving, forever. Join this channel and activate notifications. Thank you.